Have you ever felt like you're constantly trying to please everyone, only to end up pleasing no one? It's a struggle many of us face, and it reminds me of a timeless story that I think holds a powerful lesson for all of us. Once upon a time, nestled in a quiet village, lived an old man with his grandson and a sturdy little donkey. One bright morning, they decided it was time to sell the donkey at the market in the next town. So, with the sun just peeking over the hills, the old man, his grandson, and the donkey set off on their journey. The old man led the way, his grandson trotting happily beside him, and the donkey followed along behind. It was a peaceful start to the day. But soon they passed a group of merchants gathered by the roadside. The merchants pointed and began to laugh. "Look at those fools." One of them chuckled. "They have a perfectly good donkey, yet they're both walking. What's the point of having a donkey if you don't ride it?" The old man heard their jeers and started to feel a bit self-conscious. He thought, maybe they have a point. It does seem a bit silly to walk when we have a donkey wanting to do the sensible thing. He stopped and lifted his young grandson onto the donkey's back. The boy sat up tall, feeling very important, and they continued on their way, with the old man now walking beside the donkey. They hadn't gone much farther when they came across a group of villagers drawing water from a well. When they saw the old man walking while the little boy rode, they shook their heads in disapproval. For shame. One woman called out, "Look at that lazy boy, lounging on the donkey while his poor old grandfather has to walk." Kids these days have no respect for their elders. The old man's ears turned red with embarrassment. He didn't want people to think his grandson was disrespectful. So he gently told the boy, "Son, I think it's my turn to ride now. You're young and have plenty of energy to walk." The grandson hopped down, and the old man, with a slight groan, pulled himself onto the donkey's back. Now the boy was walking, and the grandfather was riding. Surely this must be the right way to do it. But as fate would have it, their journey was far from over. A short while later, they passed a group of young mothers with their children. They gasped when they saw the scene. "You cruel old man," one of them shouted, pointing an accusing finger. "How could you ride in comfort while that poor little child has to trudge through the dust on his tired feet? Have you no heart?" The old man was utterly bewildered. First, he was foolish for walking. Then, his grandson was lazy for riding. Now, he was cruel for riding. He felt completely stuck. He couldn't seem to do anything right. Trying to find a compromise, a solution that would finally make everyone happy. He had an idea. "Come on up, grandson," he said, pulling the boy up to sit behind him on the donkey. So there they were, the old man and his grandson, both perched on the donkey's back. It was a tight squeeze, but the old man felt a small sense of relief. There, he thought, now no one can complain. We're both riding, so no one is being lazy and no one is being cruel. He hoped this would be the end of the criticism. But as they approached the town market, they passed a traveler leading his horse. The traveler stopped dead in his tracks, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You too should be ashamed," he yelled, his voice booming. "That poor little donkey. Its back is going to break under the weight of two people. That's animal cruelty." The old man's heart sank. He was at his wits' end. No matter what he did, someone found fault with it. He walked, they laughed. His grandson rode, they scolded. He rode, they condemned. They both rode, they accused him of cruelty. He felt completely defeated and confused. What in the world was he supposed to do? He and his grandson slid off the donkey, standing beside the poor, equally confused animal on the side of the road. The old man scratched his head, thinking long and hard. He looked at the donkey, then at his grandson, then at the bustling market just ahead. He was so desperate to avoid any more judgment, any more criticism, that a truly bizarre idea popped into his head. "I've got it," he declared, a strange glimmer in his eye. "We can't walk, and we can't ride. There's only one thing left to do. We'll carry the donkey." His grandson looked at him, completely baffled, but he trusted his grandfather. So they found a long, sturdy pole. They managed to tie the donkey's legs together and sling the pole between them. Then, with a great heave and a grunt, the old man put one end of the pole on his shoulder, and his grandson put the other end on his. And just like that, they were carrying the donkey down the road. As you can imagine, this was a sight to behold. As they entered the town, people stopped and stared. First there were whispers, then chuckles, and then the entire street erupted in roaring laughter. People were pointing, holding their stomachs, and crying with laughter at the ridiculous spectacle of a man and a boy carrying a donkey. The noise and the commotion terrified the poor donkey. Suspended upside down and shaken by the movement, it began to panic. It kicked its legs wildly, trying to break free. The crowd's laughter grew even louder, which only scared the animal more. It thrashed and bucked with all its might until finally the rope binding its legs snapped. The donkey tumbled off the pole and, in its panic, rolled right off the side of the road, over a small bridge, and plunged into the deep river below. The current was strong, and the poor, frightened animal couldn't fight it. It disappeared beneath the water and was gone. The old man stood on the bridge, staring at the ripples in the water where his donkey had vanished. The laughter of the crowd died down, replaced by an awkward silence. All his efforts, all his attempts to please everyone had led to this. He had lost his donkey, the very thing he was trying to sell. He had nothing. He turned to his grandson, a look of profound sadness and understanding on his face. He sighed a deep, heavy sigh and said, "Son, let this be a lesson to you. When you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. And in the end, you risk losing everything you had to begin with." This story, The Old Man and the Donkey, is an ancient fable, but its message is more relevant today than ever. In our world of social media, constant opinions, and the pressure to fit in, we're bombarded with what other people think we should be doing, saying, or thinking. We can get so caught up in trying to meet everyone else's expectations that we lose sight of our own judgment, our own values, and our own path. Just like the old man, if you listen to every conflicting voice, you'll end up running in circles, making absurd decisions, and ultimately, you won't make anyone happy, least of all yourself. The truth is, you can't be everything to everyone. There will always be someone who disagrees with your choices, no matter how well-intentioned they are. The key is to listen to your own inner compass. Trust your instincts, make decisions based on your own wisdom and principles, and have the courage to stick with them. Of course, it's good to listen to advice, but you have to filter it through your own judgment. The goal isn't to please the crowd, it's to do what you believe is right. So next time you feel that pressure to conform or change course because of what someone else says, remember the old man and his donkey. Don't end up carrying your donkey just to silence the laughter. Walk your own path with confidence. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this story with me today. If this message resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories and reflections like this. Let me know in the comments if you've ever felt like the old man in the story. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, take care.